The aircraft that you were flying, was it armed?
And all my قال العليم لا يهوى على هينوى بهشم يهوى شاي بهشم ركاك وداش بrakti هوى بrakti هوى شاي بهشم ركاك وداش. Right, there's a whole lot of messages on here, right? Making mockery of the chariots, okay? Making mockery of the chariots, right? Have you ever heard crap? And some people are saying Jeebus Christ is coming. Some people say, what else is it? This Roswell and all that kind of thing. Some people are saying, oh, we need mental help. I mean, you can go on here and see the comments that they've made. I'm just going to replay the key parts. They know Yahweh Shem Yahshai is coming. This is beautiful that they're bringing it out. And it's such, is there such a heavy emphasis on this truth because they know Yahweh Shem Yahshai is returning and they are shit scared of what's about to come. Okay? Now, Esau likes to prophesy on the left-hand side, okay? Revelation of the method. Hence the movies like Independence Day, which is a perfect example. And Ronald Reagan's speech in the early 80s, and Independence Day was made in 1996, okay? Talking about, oh, our differences can be erased if we all come together, if we got a common enemy, okay? But who created the differences? Esau did, okay? The so-called white man, the Edomites. They created the differences. Now they want us, okay? Not me personally. I mean, they want the Israelites, whom the angels in those chariots are our kith and kin. And we're supposed to help these heathens fight our own. And even the 2/3 that are going to fight the angels that don't know that they are our kith and kin, you're going to be deleted because you can't go against the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Shem Yashai, man. Anyway, I'm going to let this play. Shalom.
My friends that are very senior, 3 and 4 stars, I've talked to them. They believe, they understand there's a problem, but no, I was actually treated really well.
And what is your general interpretation of these phenomena, or what is your current thinking of trying to make sense of them?
Well, I'll say, I'm not like a UFO fanatic. It's not me, but I will tell you that what we saw with 4 sets of eyes over a 5-minute period, still there's nothing. We have nothing close to it. It was amazing to see. I told my buddy I wanted to fly it, but yeah, it's just an incredible technology.
All right, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I'll yield back to you.
Thanks. On to Ms. Luna.
Mr. Grush, in speaking to you yesterday, I just wanted to follow up on Representative Raskin's questions. In the last couple of years, have you had incidences that have caused you to be in fear for your life for addressing these issues?
Yes, personally.
Okay. Yeah. I just want everyone to note that he's coming forward in fear of his life. To put in perspective, if they were really not scared about this information coming out, why would someone be intimidated like that? To your knowledge, are NHIs working with adversarial foreign governments in either technology exchange programs or back engineering programs?
I don't have data on that. I'm not sure.
Have you heard or you had people come forward to present that evidence?
Not that particular evidence that you just espoused.
Okay, on the 19th of April, Dr. Kirkpatrick, head of Aero, had said that he did not find any evidence of UAPs. You also stated that you had, in your interview, that you had briefed him on information that you were uncovering, but that he did not follow up with you. Were the items that you divulged to him pertinent to national security?
Yes, him and I had a classified conversation in April 2022 before he took over Aero in July 2022, and I provided him some concerns I had.
Do you know why he might not have followed up with you?
Unfortunately, I cannot read his mind. I wish he did. I was happy to give sage counsel to him on where to look when he took the helm of Aero.
Okay, and then my last question for you before I move to Mr. Graves is you received prior approval from the Defense Department to speak on certain issues, correct?
Correct, through DOPSR, DoD Pre-Publication and Security Review, and I just want to remind the public, they're just looking from a security perspective. These are my own personal views and opinions, not the department's.
Okay, I'm asking that though mainly because I think that there are many people that would like to discredit you, so it does bring a certain amount of credibility to your testimony.
I'm required by law to do that as a former intelligence officer, or I go to jail. for
revealing
classified information.
Yeah, we don't want you to go to jail. My next question would actually be for Mr. Graves. Can you please explain to me in detail the event that occurred at Vandenberg Air Force Base?
Certainly. In the 2003 timeframe, a large group of Boeing contractors were operating near one of the launch facilities at Vandenberg Air Force Base when they observed a very large 100-yard sided red square approach the base from the ocean and hover at low altitude over one of the launch facilities. This object remained for about 45 seconds or so before darting off over the mountains. There was a similar event within 24 hours later in the evening. This was a morning event, I believe 8:45 in the morning. Later in the evening, post sunset, there were reports of other sightings on base, including some aggressive behaviors. These objects were approaching some of the security guards at rapid speeds before darting off. And this is information that was received through one of the witnesses that have approached me at Americans for Safe Aerospace.
Was this documented in any official form, whether it was a police blotter?
Yes, they had official documentation and records from the event that the witness held over the years.
And I'm not going to ask you to do it right now for time reasons, but you would be able to sketch what was witnessed, correct? And have you seen that before on any other equipment and/or during your flight time?
I have not seen what they've described. This object was estimated to be almost the size of a football field, and I have not seen anything personally that large.
Okay, and then another question on follow-up referencing the gimbal video go fast incident. Can you just clarify, because to our understanding, the footage was actually cut off at a certain point, but what happens at the end of that video, just for those Americans specifically there that are wanting to know about the rest of that footage?
Certainly. There was some uncertainty or instability with the object. It seemed to rock a bit, and that's the last I had seen of the video. Much of the data that I would recommend be analyzed would consist of radar data that would provide precise kinematics on the object, as well as the fleet of objects that were operating nearby.
Okay, and follow up in regards to the reporting procedures that Mr. Garcia had addressed on, as well as Representative Burchett, with the FAA, to your understanding, pilots that are seeing this, commercial airline pilots, are they receiving cease and desist letters from corporations for coming forward with information in regards to safety for potential airline passengers?
I have been made privy to conversations with commercial aviators who have received cease and desist orders.
So the American public should know that corporations are putting their own reputations on the basic, not the line, but ahead of the safety of the American people. And I think, would you agree with that statement?
It appears so.
Okay. And I guess this would be my last. Oh, I'm out of time. I yield. I'll be back.
Good. Mr. Moskowitz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Gentlemen, let's talk about the laws of physics for a second. Mr. Graves and Commander Favor, I heard you talk about speed. When those objects broke the sound barrier, did they make a sonic boom?
I was in a jet. You can't hear anything. It's kind of loud in there.
Yeah, you're not able to actually personally tell within the vehicle. I will say the objects that we were seeing, they were spherical, and they were observed up to Mach 2, which is a very non-aerodynamic shape.
What about G-forces? Let's talk about G-forces of those vehicles. Could a human survive those G-forces with known technology today?
No.
No, not for the acceleration rates that we observed.
Okay. What about what they look like? How close did you get? Did you see a seam or a rivet or a section? And what I mean is, obviously, the jets you're flying have all those things. Did these objects have those?
I didn't have the detail to be able to tell that.
So we got within a half mile at Tic Tac, which people say that's pretty far, but in airplanes, that's actually relatively close. No, it was perfectly white, smooth, no windows. Although when we did take the original FLIR video that is out there, when you put it on a big screen, it actually had two little objects that came out of the bottom of it. But other than that, no windows, no seams, no nothing.
Mr. Grush, as a result of your previous government work, have you met with people with direct knowledge or have direct knowledge yourself of non-human origin craft?
Yes, I personally interviewed those individuals.
Mr. Grush, as a result of your previous government work, have you met with people with direct knowledge or have direct knowledge yourself?
Right. This is a live, I believe it's a loop, okay? Now, this is just recently, and I believe the apostles have already made videos on this. I was just watching this, it just popped. I you know, as a spirit, I just jumped on it, and then they were talking about some real key information. Now, as you see, there's a lot of scoffers in the chat. saying that, there are no so-called UFOs and this is just US crap, United States crap, making mockery, saying God is an alien and all that kind of stuff, And I mean, these people are quite stupid. I mean, American Edomites are the most dumbest people on the planet Earth. Okay, they can't even name, 3 countries outside of America. Okay, in Europe, for example, or in Africa, for example, African continent. Simple things like that, and they have no inkling or idea, or even on history. For example, when the so-called white man came into power during the Renaissance period, Renaissance means rebirth. Now, if you look at the old paintings, okay, they'll have chariots in the corner. You'll see chariots, so-called UFOs, painted there. Okay, now don't get it twisted. Esau got something called Project Bluebeam as well, which they're going to try and scare the hell out of people by doing, which is basically images projected in the sky, like they've been doing during Easter with this Mother Mary BS and showing Jesus Christ in the sky, Caesar Borgia, Serapis Christus, okay? And they mainly do that in the areas where dark nations are. For example, they do that in land of Ham, and there's Jake over there too. They do that in the Latin American countries because, Northern Kingdom loves Caesar, all right? And I believe they've also done that in India as well, because you got a lot of Catholics in South India, right, with Portuguese surnames, because the Portuguese came there in the 1400s to bring Christianity, but Thomas already came there, and there was a church already set up there. So there's a lot of Jake that are in the southern parts, okay, and there's a lot of Jake in the northern parts of India as well, all right, and they have no idea who they are because they follow different beliefs and belief systems, and also there's a language barrier. But English is English is an international language, and for the most part, people speak English up there. And if it's going to get to you, it's going to get to you. Okay? The truth is going to get to you. All right, I'm just going to read a couple of scriptures and I'm going to play a little bit more and then leave it at that. Okay? Now, if these people don't believe in the chariots, right, how can they believe in a higher power? How can they believe in so-called God? How can they believe in Yahweh Hashem Yashai? Right? Well, the heathen's not going to believe in Yahweh Hashem Yashai anyway because they don't believe in a higher power anyway. Okay? They don't believe in a higher power anyway. That's just their nature. They're adverse to the Most High Power. They're adverse to Yahweh Hashem Yashai. I mean, adverse meaning that they don't believe in a higher power. They just believe in themselves. They believe in carnal things. They're one of those people. They're one of them people like they believe it when they see it. Psalm 14:1. The fool hath said in his heart, there is no Most High Power. They are corrupt. They have done abominable works. There is none that doeth good. Okay. And, Esau's track record as well as a heathen, what have they done good? They've destroyed the whole planet. They destroyed the world. Okay. And look where we are today. A lot of us sort of who are young men in the 90s, in the 80s, I get a little nostalgic. You see old footage from back then. I see old footage from London. The old music, it sort of takes you back to your club days in the mid-90s, all the pretty women and stuff like that, how the women used to be, they were effed up then too, but they were somewhat more forward, more natural, it was the era of romance and R&B, those of you that remember that, it was a different world back then, okay, but this is just worse than worse right now, and now we're coming to the point, right to the end, where anxiety is being increased, you have this deep, dark feeling in the pit of your stomach, feel kind of sickly, your forehead is always thumping and hurting, your pineal gland, the crown of your head gets itchy, you're speaking more and more spiritual things, okay? We're being purged, man, we're being purged. The Lord is training us now so we can fight easy when all hell breaks loose. But the people that aren't expecting what's coming, they're not expecting it, it's going to hit them hard, man. It's going to hit them harder than Mike Tyson hitting you full force when he was a young man. Because the truth, man, cuts deep into the bones. Deviseth the marrow. The marrow, right? The marrow. That scripture. That's at Hebrews 4:12. For the word of the Most High Yahweh Hashem Yashai is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the dividing asunder of soul and spirit, and of the joints and marrow, and is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart. Okay? A lot of these people believe, but they don't want to believe. They know there's something out there, but they can't believe it. When they see it, they say, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. What is that? And that's Jake saying that too, Northern and Southern Kingdom. You know? But they're dummies. They didn't even realize those are kith and kin in there, you know? But for us, those are that in the know, you know, whatever your whatever your position is within the body, if you are part of that body, you know, but if you have the name and you've been praying in it, you've been seeing spiritual numbers and seeing spiritual things, and you've jumped over the stumbling blocks spiritually. You understand it. You follow one doctrine. You follow the men of Great Millstone, and double honors to them from the apostles on down. By the way, okay, they have been allotted to teach the truth and the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yashai. Isaiah 41:10. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy power. I will strengthen thee. Yea, I will help thee. Yea, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness. Okay? There's another one as well. The heathen are dismayed. Jeremiah 10:2. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yashai, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. And that's twofold, because the Edomites and the heathen nations, they're dismayed at them. And even the Edomites that are on the up and up, they know about it, but they try and sort of ignore it, thinking that their carnal weapons can help them. Okay? But they talk about the sound barriers being broken and how these chariots move lightning fast, you know, and they've seen nothing like it. And hence the reason why they're talking about it now. So this is just the war drums beating so they can get to that stage where they can scare the hell out of everyone, which they probably will. Project Bluebeam prior to the chariots coming, so they might do Project Bluebeam, scare the hell out of everyone, say, okay, we got to get our weapons together, let's join as a force, let's fight these so-called aliens. Okay, this is what they're going to do. Okay. Luke 21 and 28. Luke 21 and 28. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. And very seldom people look up. They're always looking at their phones. Even the older generation, constantly looking at their phones, you know, walking around like zombies, you know. You know, we have our phones with us, might be listening to a lesson or whatever, but we're not always looking at it. People even get run over these days because they're always looking at their phone. But, you know, that's why they made that movie, Don't Look Up, trying to scare you again. Aliens are going to destroy the whole world. Nah, Esau, your world's going to get destroyed, Esau. 2nd Ezra 6 verse 9, Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Okay? All right, so we look up, because we can see the chariots during the day. We can see the chariots at night. Okay? We see them. All right? Even my son has pointed out the tic-tac chariot. We've also seen large circle ones too. All right? There's various shaped chariots out there that Yahweh Shemeshah has created, man. I'm just going to play the rest of this. I think there's some key information in the last few minutes.
About ATs, advanced technologies that the U.S. government has.
Based on conventional advanced tech, I was briefed to the preponderance of the Defense Department's both space and aerospace department and programs. Yeah.
Do you have knowledge, or do you have reason to believe that there are programs in the advanced tech space that are unsanctioned?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you say that they're above congressional oversight, what do you mean?
Complicated question. So there's, some, I would call it abuse here. So congressional oversight of conventional special access programs. So I'll use Title 10, so DOD as an example, right? So 10 U.S. Code Section 119 discusses congressional oversight of SAPs, discusses the DepSecDef's ability to waive congressional reporting However, the Gang of Eight is at least supposed to be notified if a waived or wave bigoted unacknowledged SAP is created, and that's public law.
Well, so then how does, I mean, I don't want to cut you off, but
Yeah.
how does a program like that get funded?
I will give you generalities. I can get very
specifics here, and a reason I'm going to go this way is because you've talked a bit about what I would call misdirection by official U.S. government with regard to UAPs, right? And so I'm going to get to that in a second. But last week, White House NSC spokesman John Kirby stated that UAPs are having an impact on our training ranges and need to be treated as a legitimate issue. Do you concur with his statements? That's for each of you.
yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Now, having said that, I'm going to take you to specific instances around the Phoenix Valley because that's where I live. In '97, we had the famous Phoenix Light case. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that. There were two things that went along with that, and the explanation was military training range off Luke and the Barry Goldwater Range. Do you know anything different other than the official explanation of those lights?
Only what's in the public vernacular about it. That was outside the scope of my duties.
And if we wanted to, just my question along with my colleague from New York, Ms. Ocasio-Cortez, if we wanted to find out more about that, where would we go to find the files, and who would we address? And are you going to tell me we need to go to a SCIF so you can tell us in a SCIF?
I could potentially give you a vector on that. That specific case, I'm not. I mean, I'm familiar with it in terms of public, but I give you a vector in closed environment. Yeah,
That would be good. Thank you. So if it's true that UAPs are having an impact on training ranges, and this administration considers it to be a legitimate issue, what steps can Congress take to address training range impacts? And I say that having two very large training ranges in my state. And so we'll start with Mr. Graves and going down the panel.
Some of the initial procedures have been implemented, such as within the United States.
That this craft, November 14th,
To this footage.
No, I just think it was ignored when it happened, and it just sat somewhere in a file, never got reported.
In a drawer. It happens a lot up here. Shocker. Mr. Gresh, a couple of questions for you too, sir, this morning. What percentage of UAPs do you feel are adequately investigated by the U.S. government of the 5% that are reported?
I can only speak for my personal leadership over at NGA. I tried to look at every report that came through that I could triage. So.
Do you believe that officials at the highest levels of our national security apparatus have unlawfully withheld information from Congress and subverted our oversight authority?
There are certain elected leaders that had more information that I'm not sure what they've shared with certain Gang of Eight members or etc. But certainly I would not be surprised.
Okay. You've stated that the government is in possession of potentially non-human spacecraft. Based on your experience and extensive conversations with
BS. They don't have no spacecrafts. They can't touch the chariots. Okay, they're just trying to appease the people that they're trying to get them to get on their side.
experts, do you believe our government has made contact with intelligent extraterrestrials?
Something I can't discuss in public setting.
Okay, I can't ask when you think this occurred. If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries. Yeah.
That's more BS. Excuse me. Are you telling me, like in Independence Day, they got some lizard men or something? They actually capture the angels? Okay? Esau is something else, man. A liar, man. You know? He abides not in the truth.
Were they, I guess,
a real devil indeed, a deceiver indeed.
human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
And was this documentary evidence, this video, photos, eyewitness? Like, how would that be determined?
The specific documentation I would have to talk to you in a SCIF about.
Gotcha. Okay,
So, and you may or may not be able to answer my last question, and maybe we get into a skiff at the next hearing that we have, but who in the government, either what agency, sub-agency, what contractors, who should be called into the next hearing about UAPs, either in a public setting or even in a private setting? And you probably can't name names, but what agencies or organizations, contractors, et cetera, do we need to call in to get these questions answered, whether it's about funding, what programs are happening, and what's out there?
I can give you a specific cooperative and hostile witness list of specific individuals that were in those.
And how soon can we get that list?
I'm happy to provide that to you after the hearing.
Super. Thank you. And I yield back.
Okay, now we have Mr. Langworthy's here.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank all of the witnesses for being here today to discuss this very unique topic. And I'd like to jump right into my questions, if you don't mind. Commander Fravor, can you briefly describe your background?
Yeah, I was an enlisted Marine, Naval Academy graduate, Navy, flew for 18 years, got a master's from University of Houston, and I've worked in the private sector for the last, 16 years, 17 years. I do a lot of defense work. So
Really gold-plated credentials. Commander Fravor, we have all seen the floating Tic Tac video that you engaged with on November 14th, 2004. Can you briefly talk about why you were off the coast of San Diego that day?
yeah, we were at a workup with all the battle groups. So we integrate the ships with the carrier, the air wing with the carrier, and we start working. So we were doing an air-to-air defense to hone not only our skills, but those of the USS Princeton when they had been tracking them for 2 weeks. The problem was that there was never manned aircraft airborne when they were tracking them. And this was the first day. And unfortunately, we were the ones airborne and went and saw it.
Do you remember the weather that day? Was it cloudy or windy or anything out of the ordinary on the Pacific coast?
It was actually, if you're familiar with San Diego, it was a perfect day. Light winds, no whitecaps, clear skies, not a cloud. It was, for flying, it was the best.
Now, is it true that you saw, in your words, a 40-foot flying Tic Tac shaped object?
That's correct. Or for some people that can't know what a Tic Tac is, it's a giant flying propane tank.
Fair enough. Did this object come up on radar or interfere with your radar or the USS Princeton?
The Princeton tracked it, the Nimitz tracked it, the E2 tracked it. We never saw it on our radars. Our fire control radars never picked it up. The other airplane that took the video did get it on a radar. As soon as it tried to lock it, it jammed the radar, spit the lock, and he rapidly switched over to the targeting pod, which you can do in the F-18.
From what you saw that day and what you've seen on video, did you see any source of propulsion from the flying object, including on any potential thermal scans from your aircraft?
No, there's none. There's no IR plume coming out. And Chad, who took the video, went through all the EO, which is black and white TV, and the IR modes, and there's no visual signs of propulsion. It's just sitting in space at 20,000 feet.
In your career, have you ever seen a propulsion system that creates no thermal exhaust?
No.
Can you describe how the aircraft maneuvered?
Abruptly, very determinate. It knew exactly what it was doing. It was aware of our presence, and it had acceleration rates. I mean, it went from 0 to matching our speed in no time at all.
Now, if the fastest plane on Earth was trying to do these maneuvers that you saw, would it be capable of doing that?
No, not even close.
And just to confirm, this object had no wings, correct?
No wings.
Now, was the aircraft that you were flying, was it armed?
No, it never felt threatened at all.
If the aircraft was armed, do you believe that your aircraft or any aircraft in possession of the United States could have shot the Tic Tac down?
I'd say no. Just on the performance, it would just left in a split second.
It looks like that we have a problem here that needs further investigation.
Yes.
In your belief, is this flying Tic Tac? I mean, is it capable of being the product of any other nation on the Earth?
No, like I said earlier, I think it defies current material science and the ability to develop.
No, it's no nation of the earth. It's part of the nation of Israel. Okay, and even the Jakes that are here, that are the elect on the planet Earth, are angels in human bodies. Okay, serving out there spiritual prison sentence until they're relieved from these chains of darkness. Okay?
Develop that much propulsion, and I know there's been some physicists that have done calculations, which is beyond anything that we have.
Well, either the United States has an adversary here in this world that we don't know, or we really have some serious investigations to do. I really appreciate you being here. Is there anything else about the November 14th, 2004 incident that you think is important for this committee to know that you haven't been asked here today?
No, it's been said it's probably the most credible UFO sighting in history based on all the sensors that were tracking it, and then for us to get visual and to go against the naysayers that it's something on the screen or whatever. I mean, there's 4 sets of human eyeballs. We're all very credible. Of the 6 of us that were involved in the thing, including the video, every one of us is going to do 20 plus years in the military in very responsible positions. So I'd say the world needs to know that. It's not a joke.
Thank you very much for your testimony here today for all of you, and I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. August.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you all for being here and the courage it took to come forward and again, the sacrifice that each of you have made. I serve on the National Security Subcommittee for the Financial Services Committee, so I really want to stay in the national security lane, if I may. So when we think about traditional adversaries and both us towards them and them towards us, we probe their capabilities. We look for weaknesses, and we collect that data, that reconnaissance for in the event we need it in the future. For each of you, yes or no question, based off of your own experience or the data that you've been privy to, is there any indication that these UAPs could be essentially collecting reconnaissance information? Mr. Graves?
Yes.
Mr. Brush?
Fair assessment. Yeah.
Mr. Fravor?
Very possible.
Again, in the national security vein, is it possible that these UAPs would be probing our capabilities? Yes or no, Mr. Graves?
Yes.
Brush?
Yes.
Fravor?
Definitely.
Reconnaissance.
Is it possible that these UAPs are testing for vulnerabilities in our current systems?
Yes.
More folly?
Yes. Possible.
Do you feel, based off of your experience and the information that you've been privy to, that these UAPs provide an existential threat to the national security of the United States? Mr. Graves?
Potentially.
Yes, sir, potentially.
Same answer, potentially. I'd say
Fravor.
definitely, potentially.
Mr. Graves and Fravor, in the event that your encounters have become hostile, would you have had the capability to defend yourself, your crew, your aircraft?
Absolutely not.
Sir?
You heard it. Now, had the angels become hostile, they won't be able to defend themselves, and they admit that. But the Lord's going to increase their pride. I'm just going to leave it here. You guys can check it out. It's on CNN News 18. All right. This is a loop from 27th of July 2023. There's about 3,854 watching now, almost 4,000 people. Okay. So the war drums are beating, and Esau is sweating buckets regarding this. And these people are in the know. A couple of these people are, of a certain stature in terms of arms and defense and all that kind of thing, and they know about this. They know who the angels are. They even know what they look like. Okay, to have this level of authority and being there in front of cameras and things like this and talking about it, guarantee you they know who Jake is. All right, they know who Jake is. They know who's in these chariots. Okay, and they're basically letting the world know. Okay. And I believe they will definitely do some kind of Project Bluebeam thing, where they will create a fake scenario where they'll show themselves defeating a possible Bluebeam, chariot, which is going to be fake, all right? So when the chariots actually do show up, they're going to have a whole world underneath their belt, so they can say, you know what, let's fight these chariots. We defeated one, we can defeat another 20,000, and everyone's going to be able to say, yeah, USA, and and here in the UK, God Save the King and all that, and around the world they'll be singing their national anthems, so it's going to go in that direction, man. May Lord speed up time even more. Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakodash, Mawatha Bad Babal, Kwam Yashra Shalom.